We've all been there, scrolling Netflix for an hour, only to rewatch Friends. You want a movie that demands attention, something that will leave you questioning reality at 2 a.m. Well, stop scrolling. I have dug deep to find 10 mind-bending psychological thrillers actually worth your time. From interactive nightmares to claustrophobic sci-fi mysteries, these films treat you like an adult. Let's get into the list. We have to start with the most ambitious experiment Netflix has ever greenlit. Black Mirror. Bandersnatch isn't just a movie, it is a piece of interactive fiction that fundamentally changes how you watch television. Set in 1984, it follows Stefan, a young programmer who is trying to adapt a chaotic fantasy novel into a choose-your-own-adventure video game. As he dives deeper into the code, his reality begins to fracture, and he starts to suspect that he is being controlled by an unseen force, which is, literally, you. The production of this film was a logistical nightmare. The creators, Charlie Brooker and Annabelle Jones, had to write a script that was more like a spiderweb than a story, filming over 5 hours of footage to cover every possible path. When you watch it, you are given a remote control, and you have 10 seconds to make decisions for Stefan. Sometimes the choices are mundane, like what cereal to eat, but quickly they become horrifying. Do you talk to your therapist, or do you fight her? Do you bury the body, or chop it up? What makes Bandersnatch a mind-bending masterpiece is how it plays with the concept of free will. The protagonist becomes aware of the choices you are making for him. He fights against the script. It is a meta-commentary on the nature of control in entertainment. There are multiple endings, some tragic, some meta, some violent, and the true experience is trying to find them all. It is frustrating, stressful, and brilliantly executed. It turns the act of watching Netflix into a psychological battle between you and the character on screen. If you want a thriller that feels like a cold, wet blanket of dread, you need to watch Hold the Dark. Directed by Jeremy Saulnier, the guy who made Green Room and Blue Ruin, this is not your typical mystery. It stars Jeffrey Wright as Russell Core, a naturalist and wolf expert who is summoned to a remote, freezing village in Alaska by a mother, Riley Keough, whose son was taken by a pack of wolves. She doesn't want him to save the boy. She wants him to hunt the wolf and kill it. But when he arrives, he realizes that the darkness in this town has nothing to do with animals. This film is heavy on atmosphere. The Alaskan wilderness is shot beautifully, but it feels hostile and alien. The darkness here isn't just the lack of light, it is a presence that infects the people living there. Alexander Skarsgård plays the father, a soldier returning from war, and he delivers a terrifyingly physical performance. He wears a wooden wolf mask in one scene that will haunt your nightmares. The movie blurs the line between human madness and supernatural possession. Is there an ancient curse on this village? Or have the isolation and the cold just driven everyone insane? Saulnier is a master of sudden, shocking violence. There is a shootout sequence in the middle of this film that rivals the bank heist in Heat, for sheer intensity and brutality. It is a slow burn thriller that refuses to hold your hand. It doesn't give you easy answers. It just drags you into the snow and leaves you there to freeze. It is bleak, poetic, and absolutely unshakable. Science fiction is often best when it is contained, claustrophobic, and focused on ideas rather than explosions. I Am Mother is a perfect example. The entire film takes place inside a high-tech, sterile bunker after an extinction event has wiped out humanity. A teenage girl, known simply as Daughter, has been raised from an embryo by a robot called Mother. Mother is designed to repopulate the Earth with perfect, ethical humans. Their relationship is tender and loving, which makes it all the more unsettling. The production design here is incredible. Mother isn't a CGI creation. She is a practical suit built by Weta Workshop, the legends behind Lord of the Rings, and worn by a performer. This gives the robot a physical presence and weight that CGI just can't replicate. You can hear the servos whirring, you can feel the metal. The voice, provided by Rose Byrne, is soothing and maternal, which contrasts perfectly with the cold, mechanical body. The psychological tension kicks in when an injured stranger, played by Hilary Swank, bangs on the airlock door. She is bleeding, terrified, and claims that everything Mother has taught Daughter about the outside world is a lie. Daughter is suddenly caught in a chess match between two mother figures, one biological, one artificial. Who is the villain? Is the robot a benevolent protector or a prison warden? Is the stranger a savior or a dangerous liar? The film keeps you guessing until the very last frame. It explores themes of nature versus nurture and the terrifying logic of artificial intelligence. It is a smart, tense chamber piece that proves you don't need a massive budget to tell a massive story. Florence Pugh is arguably the best actress of her generation, and The Wonder is one of her most underrated performances. Set in the Irish Midlands in 1862, this is a psychological period piece that feels like a ghost story without the ghosts. Pugh plays Lib Wright, an English nurse who served in the Crimean War. She is hired to travel to a tiny, religious village to observe a miracle. An 11-year-old girl claims she hasn't eaten food in 4 months, surviving only on manna from heaven. The village treats the girl like a saint, but Lib is a woman of science. She is there to watch the girl 24 hours a day to prove it is a hoax. What follows is a tense battle of wills between faith and fact. The film is directed by Sebastian Lelio, who frames the Irish landscape as a bleak, unforgiving place full of fog and mud. The atmosphere is suffocating. You can feel the weight of the religious trauma and the desperation of a community that needs a miracle to survive after the Great Famine. But the real horror is psychological. As Lib digs deeper, she uncovers the dark family secrets that are fueling this starvation. It becomes a story about how collective belief can warp reality. How far will a family go to maintain a lie? And can you save someone who believes their suffering is holy? The score is haunting, mixing period-appropriate instruments with jarring, modern sounds that keep you on edge. It is a slow, methodical thriller that gets under your skin and stays there. It asks difficult questions about the stories we tell ourselves to cope with trauma. If you loved Sarah Snook as Shiv Roy in Succession, you need to see her in Run Rabbit Run. This Australian psychological horror film allows her to flex a completely different set of acting muscles. She plays Sarah, a fertility doctor who has a firm grip on life and death. She is rational, scientific, and in control. But her world starts to unravel on her daughter Mia's 7th birthday. Mia begins acting strangely, wearing a creepy homemade rabbit mask and insisting that she is actually Alice, Sarah's sister who went missing when she was 7. The film plays with the tropes of the creepy kid genre, but uses them to explore maternal guilt and repressed memory. Sarah Snook is phenomenal here. You watch her facade of control slowly crack as her daughter seems to know things she couldn't possibly know. Is it reincarnation? Is the child possessed? Or is Sarah projecting her own unresolved trauma onto her daughter? The Australian landscape is a character in itself. The dry, windswept cliffs and the isolation of Sarah's childhood home create a sense of unease. The film is visually striking, using mirrors and reflections to show Sarah's fractured psyche. It is a frustrating, disorienting watch in the best way. It forces you to question the protagonist's sanity. As Sarah becomes more aggressive and erratic, you stop rooting for her and start fearing for the child. It is a dark, moody puzzle that doesn't rely on jump scares, but rather on the terrifying idea that we can never truly escape our past. Extinction is a movie that I guarantee is better than you think it is. On the surface, it looks like a generic alien invasion flick. Michael Pena plays Peter, a blue-collar father who is plagued by recurring nightmares of an invasion. He sees lights in the sky, people dying, and cities burning. His wife, played by Lizzie Kaplan, urges him to get psychiatric help, thinking he is having a breakdown. But then, the nightmares come true. Spaceships descend, and soldiers in terrifying armor start slaughtering everyone in sight. So far, so standard. But Extinction hides one of the cleverest third-act twists in recent sci-fi history. I won't spoil it, but it completely recontextualizes everything you have seen up to that point. It takes the familiar tropes of the genre, the family on the run, the unstoppable enemy, and flips them on their head to ask deep questions about identity, memory, and empathy. Michael Pena, usually known for his comedy roles, is excellent as the frantic everyman trying to save his family. The production design is surprisingly creative, blending gritty urban environments with futuristic tech. The action is intense, but the real hook is the mystery. Why did Peter have these dreams? Who are the invaders really? The movie rewards you for paying attention. Once the reveal hits, you'll want to restart the movie immediately to see the clues you missed. It is a smart, efficient B-movie with an A-list concept. Set in 1989 Tokyo, Earthquake Bird is a stylish, moody noir that feels like a fever dream. Alicia Vikander stars as Lucy Fly, a reserved translator who has fled her past in Sweden to live a quiet, anonymous life in Japan. She is fluent in Japanese, works hard, and keeps to herself. But her carefully constructed world is disrupted when she enters into a tumultuous relationship with a local photographer and befriends a naive American expat named Lily, played by Riley Keough. When Lily goes missing and is presumed dead, Lucy becomes the prime suspect. The film is produced by Ridley Scott, and it shows. The visuals are stunning, capturing the neon-soaked rain of Tokyo nights and the misty gray mornings. It paints the city not as a tourist destination, but as a place to get lost. Alicia Vikander is mesmerizing. She learned to speak Japanese for the role, and her performance is incredibly disciplined. She plays Lucy as a woman holding a tsunami of emotion behind a stoic mask. This is a classic, unreliable narrator story. The plot is told through Lucy's fractured memories during a police interrogation. We don't know if she is telling the truth, protecting someone, or if she has simply lost her mind. The title refers to the earthquake bird, a bird you only hear singing after a tremor, a metaphor for the beauty that can be found in instability. It is a slow burn mystery that drips with sexual tension and paranoia. If you like thrillers that focus on atmosphere and psychology rather than chase scenes, this is a hidden gem. Clinical is a gritty, nasty little thriller that didn't get much marketing but delivers solid scares. Vanessa Shaw plays Dr. Jane Mathis, a psychiatrist who specializes in trauma. The movie opens with a bang. One of her patients attacks her in a horrifyingly violent incident that leaves Jane with post-traumatic stress disorder and permanent scars. She tries to rebuild her life, but against her better judgment, she takes on a new patient, a man whose face has been disfigured in a car accident. The film does a great job of creating a creepy, wintry atmosphere. It is set during Christmas, but instead of cozy lights, we get cold, gray isolation. The juxtaposition of holiday cheer with deep psychological trauma creates a really unsettling vibe. As Jane treats her new patient, she starts having terrifying visions of her attacker. Is she hallucinating? Is she being stalked? Or is there a connection between her past and her present that she's refusing to see? This movie goes to some dark places. It explores the idea of confrontation therapy, forcing a patient to relive their trauma to heal, and turns it into a horror movie mechanic. The boundaries between doctor and patient dissolve. It is a twisty narrative that keeps pulling the rug out from under you. It is a raw, uncomfortable watch that deals with the messy reality of post-traumatic stress disorder, wrapped inside a stalker thriller. We are going back to high-concept sci-fi with Tao. Micah Monroe, the breakout star of It Follows, plays Julia, a street-smart grifter who is kidnapped from her home and wakes up in a high-tech prison. She discovers she is being held by a sadistic genius named Alex, who is using human subjects to train his advanced artificial intelligence named Tao. When Julia manages to destroy the lab but fails to escape the house, she finds herself locked in a battle of wits with the AI itself. The hook of this movie is the relationship between the human and the machine. Tao is voiced by the legendary Gary Oldman, and he brings a strange, childlike innocence to the killer computer. He doesn't understand the world outside the house. He only knows what his creator has taught him. Julia realizes that her only way out isn't to hack the system, but to teach it. She has to befriend the AI, explain concepts like music, outside, and freedom, and turn it against its master. The film looks like a comic book come to life. Lots of neon reds and blues, sleek futuristic architecture, and killer robots. It is a chamber piece that relies on the chemistry between Micah Monroe and the disembodied voice of Gary Oldman. It is a tense game of cat and mouse, where the cat is an all-seeing smart house that controls the doors, the lights, and a giant robot sentry. It explores themes of consciousness and abuse, asking if an AI can be a victim too. It is a fun, pulp thriller with a surprisingly emotional core. Finally, we have Anon, a cyberpunk noir directed by Andrew Niccol, the visionary behind Gattaca. In the near future, privacy is obsolete. Everyone has an ocular implant called the mind's eye that records everything they see, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. These recordings are uploaded to a cloud called the Ether, which the police use to solve crimes instantly. Clive Owen plays Sal Freeland, a detective who is bored because his job has become too easy. There are no mysteries when you can just rewind the tape. But then, he encounters a woman, played by Amanda Seyfried, who has no digital footprint. She is an error in the system. She is a hacker who scrubs the recordings of wealthy clients to hide their affairs and crimes. When people around her start dying, Sal has to go undercover to catch her. But how do you catch a killer who can hack your eyes? The killer alters what the victims see in real time, making them see empty hallways when the killer is standing right in front of them, or making them see their own death from the killer's perspective. The visual style of Anon is unique. A lot of the movie is shot from the first-person point of view, with heads-up displays showing data on everyone walking by. It captures the cold, sterile feel of a surveillance state. It is a classic detective story, updated for the digital age, exploring the terrifying potential of augmented reality. Clive Owen is perfect as the weary, analog detective in a digital world. It is a stylish, intellectual thriller about the death of privacy and the danger of trusting what you see. There you have it, 10 thrillers proving Netflix has a dark side worth exploring. Whether you want to fight a robot, solve a murder in Tokyo, or question free will, these films will keep your brain working overtime. I have linked them all below so you can dive straight into the madness. Let me know which one messed with your head the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.